It's your girl, Lady Lily, back with another video. I feel like I haven't taped in a while, but I know it's only been a few days. So I'm here to bring you Housewives of Potomac, Season 2, Episode 7. So let's dig in. Monique is visiting her old home in Virginia. She has decided to rent it out. Because the house is sentimental to the family. It was the first house Chris had bought when he had been drafted to the NFL, and it was also, the first home they had lived in as a married couple. So instead of selling it, she's going to rent it because it has sentimental value. And Monique did mention she was the project manager when it came to the upkeep and the owning of the homes. We then move on to Karen. Karen is working with an organization called PAVE, which deals with domestic violence, not domestic violence, sexual assault and violence. In this segment, Karen reveals that she was raped while she was in college. She had only told her parents about the incident, and apparently she never did. She became a part of the statistics that did not report, because there's a lot of people that out here that's unfortunately raped and they never reported due to various reasons of fear, shame, but she was one of those people who did not report. The dude eventually would pass away, and she said it was something that she continued to have struggled with moving through her adult years. This part of the segment, Karen was really vulnerable. I really feel like you're getting to see more of the realness of the ladies this season. All of them got some type of interesting story, and it's like their truths are coming out this season, so it's making them seem to be more real than the bougie bees that we normally used to. Anyway, moving on. So Giselle and Robin are in the car. It's, an evening. They're hanging out, and Robin's been talking about how she's been working and taking on new projects and doing her own thing, trying to make her own brand. So they're going over the whole Ashley debacle. And on the other end, it's showing Ashley, is still trying to work out the kinks at Oz. She said they had made some slight adjustments to the menu, and actually this night she is actually busy. It is popping. Unfortunately, she had a couple of co-workers call off, so she stepped up and she was serving and she was pouring drinks and she was doing all the good stuff. But that's good that that she's that the business is popping tonight. So while in the car, Robin and Giselle decided, let's do a roll up on the restaurant, because they knew Ashley was going to be there. So it was an ambush, and Ashley thought they was just coming through to say, hey girl, what's up? But it was really a confrontation. I'm sorry, let me look at my notes. Pretty much they told Ashley she needs to stay the hell out their business. She needs to stay out the business. She needs to shut the hell up. And then Ashley was telling Robin, don't step to me, get your fingers on my face. And Robin said, this is me putting my finger in your face. So they went back and forth. And pretty much, Ashley thought that, Ashley was not cool with that, because it was actually, making a scene in the restaurant. Because even it shoots to people in the restaurant, there's one girl looking like this. Like they over there getting a bow wow in. So pretty much they told Ashley, you are out, you overstepping your boundaries. You need to stay in your lane. And pretty much that was pretty much it. So they had left. And then Giselle had the nerve to say, you know what, we're going to go eat somewhere else where the food actually tastes as good. And they left. They so dirty and petty. Moving on, Sharice is looking for journals. She's out shopping with Skylar. And the advice from Dr. Jeff, who is her therapist, it says she needs to journal and document her feelings along the journey. So Sharice is out, and her and Skylar goes into a conversation about her marriage. And let me scoot this over. I'm trying to get a glimpse of my notes here. She pretty much leads into a conversation with Skylar and tells her, for the most part, don't be surprised if your dad and I eventually get divorced. Skylar mentioned that her dad, Skylar seems very mature. I'm gonna tell you that. Her response to Sharice, you could tell, she is a little touched and saddened by it. But Skylar did go on to mention that, her dad was gone a lot growing up, due to the work. And then in so many words, she would say, it won't be such a change. And she said she did, identify that were issues because she was saying like dad, was working away out of town. And even when he, have down moments, or, the summer breaks or whatnot, he seemed not to even want to come back here. He was still in Jersey. So Skylar, was saying that she, that they would be okay. Sharice, tried to be strong, but she had a moment where she just started crying. And, she told Skylar, my family is what's important to me. And I want you to know that, our love is not going to change for you and Jackson, their son. So she's crying. Skylar consoles her. And then Skylar said, you know what, let me get a journal too. And we can, journal and do this activity to this, this journal therapy together. Moving on, Monique and Chris, they are having a date day. So, because it's not date, it's a date day in which they are going fishing. Their pastor and real estate people had mentioned in the prior episode, they needed, more time to just be them and be of one and, have some couple time. So, they've been so busy with the kids and the business and all the hoopla. And she was just saying how she enjoyed fishing, and that's how they actually, Monique was saying that's how they actually connected. So they went on this fishing activity, and they was just, recapping their past and how they met. Monique said she did meet him when she was first met him at 19. He was 25. So there was an age gap there. And she said pretty much he was a player, a ladies' man, and just being in the NBA, stunning profiling. And she said it would be 3 years before she would actually, start dating him seriously. And at one point he said he would never get married. And then she was like, okay, cool, whatever. And she said she think that was what impressed him about her, because she wasn't one to press him about marriage. But they had a good outing. They caught some fish and, they was having a good time. So it goes back to Karen. She was doing a community service project. It was nice to see Karen, to me, that was like really being outside of her element. And, she was helping kids plant different flowers. She got her hands dirty. I mean, she had gloves, but she was, getting in the dirt and working with the kids. And she did invite Giselle to join her, and she said that's how her and Janelle actually had met and bonded, was through community service. And she was just telling her how Giselle how she had got invited to speak at the PATH. She's going to be speaking at the PATH event, and she don't know who she should invite in terms of the girls, but she thinks she's going to go ahead and invite everybody because it is for a good cause. So next highlight, it goes to Robin and Juan. Robin is helping Juan to get ready for his basketball camp. And, she's straight business. She's like, well, we got to do some more press, and you got to do a photo shoot, and you got to do this and that and that. And Juan was like, I really don't want to, worry about none of that. I really just want to get in and work with the kids. And, everything else will get accomplished, or pretty much I'll let you handle. It is what it is. And she was saying how, she's not going to bring up the situation that Ashley had mentioned. Not going to bring up the situation her and Ashley have been encountering, nor she's going to bring up the news that Ashley was saying that he was seeing somebody else. So this is when it kind of took a little interesting turn. So Juan goes off. Apparently he's talking to the producers of the show, and he was just saying, I'm tired of this. I'm too old for this. He was saying, you know, I'm too old for this. I'm tired of this. I'm too old for this. I can't keep living my life like this. He said, I want somebody to share my world with, and I want to love somebody, and I want to be in love with somebody. And he said, pretty much, if it wasn't for the kids, I would not be here. So in other words, he's testifying that he's, tired of this weird arrangement, and that, something needs to give. And pretty much he's pretty much saying he's only around for the sake of the kids. Because obviously he feels like him and Robin is not gonna get back to that point. And as you know, Robin is real straight adamant about keeping this wall up, and not allowing one to come back in to love her again. So Ashley is meeting up with her mom, and apparently she has a younger brother. I think we met a different brother last season, I want to say, but this is a younger brother who was in college in the area. So they're having dinner, they're catching up, pretty much of what's going on. Ashley is telling them about all the episodes she been going through, from the ambush at the restaurant to Sharice saying she's gonna F her up at the clothes fitting. And Mama's a G. Mama is like laid back, chill, gangster. She don't give a damn. She was like, you pretty much need to confront these girls. Don't be getting bullied. In other words, she was telling her, don't be no punk out here. You need to address them. You need to take care of that, and you need to handle that. Y'all pretty much too grown for all this BS. But in other words, Mama's like, don't let nobody punk you. So Sharice is having lunch with Dr. Jeff, and she invites Robin out to meet him. Sharice wanted Robin to meet Dr. Jeff, who was her therapist. Sharice was sharing with Dr. Jeff that Robin is, reluctant to try therapy. And Robin says she's, better with one now that they're not married. But Dr. Jeff made an excellent point. He was saying that, let me see what I said. He was saying that, he said, okay, sorry about that. Dr. Jeff pretty much told Robin, I see where you're at, but he said everybody is entitled to be happy. And he said, although you're trying to fight it, you're going to have to eventually make a decision. And he says not just about, what is right, it's about happiness. And then all of a sudden, Robin started breaking down because it was hitting home. Because Robin's saying she don't have plans, guys. It's like she been fighting it. She been putting this wall up. And that's not healthy. And she's not digging in her feelings. She needs to laugh and be in love and experience like all this great stuff. And she's just, in other words, Robin is blocking her blessing. God can't move you forward. God can't bless you, without you putting forth some effort. They say God helps those that would help themselves. And they always say, don't block your blessings. And I really believe, as I'm sure a lot of you all believe, that Robin is simply blocking her blessings. So it's the day of the PAVE event, and all the ladies show up to support Karen. Everybody look nice and like banquet luncheon style chic. And they all know that Karen is going to be one of the spokespersons. So before Karen goes on, Don Lehman, who I think worked for CNN, he shares his story about, his abuse and coming out, and how he's no longer, afraid. He put it all on the table. So that was really touching. And then Karen gets up and she shares her story about being raped. And she said, unfortunately, she was the 9 out of the 10 statistic that did not support. And then she said, she struggled, into her adulthood dealing with this, feeling she's not worthy and all this great stuff. Because back earlier in the episode, it did say, it started out that she was going out with a guy, for dinner. She had a little uneasy feeling, but she said she'll go out with him anyway. And she just said, long story short, they never made it out to dinner. And she was also saying how her, in the, when it was happening, she said her soul left her body and she just went numb, because she said that was the only way she can really just get through the moment, her to get through the moment. So she said, today she chooses to stand up and be a voice, and she's encouraging young people to do the same, and she's encouraged everybody to choose life and not death. So, the girls was really touched, and it's like, wow, we didn't know, so they was really moved, and they admired Karen for her strength and her willingness to share her story. So good for Karen. That is a great cause. Sexual assault and sexual violence is such a sensitive topic. It's often sometimes swept under the rug, but I appreciate Karen doing that and being an advocate, and hopefully that can, get some things, that could be a platform to help others. So it's after the event, after every event, everybody want to mix and mingle and share loves and hugs with Karen. Robin had to take off because apparently she had another event. So Monique and Ashley stopped to chat with Giselle and Charisse. And Ashley spoke, and then she spoke to Charisse, and Charisse did not give her an answer. And Giselle was pretty much telling her, obviously she don't want to speak to you. Maybe not today. Let's just leave it alone. Not today. And then Ashley is pretty much saying she's trying to be cordial, and this is a bunch of bullshit. In other words, she's trying to make amends and be polite. But they said not today, maybe another day. And Charisse, maybe another day Charisse will speak to you. I'm like, well, hell, if you can't speak to me, don't worry about speaking to me on another day. That's just my personal preference. Meanwhile, Monique had made a decision. She's going to take her pastor's advice and, talk to Giselle and, provide an apology to her, for her actions. And, she's trying to set up something, which is just, she said, I would like to talk to you. Tonight is not the night. I get that. But, she put her phone out. She said, I would like to get your number and call you. And then she puts her phone out. So Giselle was like, she was doing like this. That's my brother downstairs talking. She was like, I'll think about it. And in other words, she didn't express interest of trying to give Monique the number. And even Monique, she said, here, you can put your number in my phone. And Giselle was like, all right, so loud on the phone too, by the way. She was like this, I'll think about it. So in other words, they all pretty much walked off. And then, here's Ashley and Monique pretty much saying, here we go. We're trying to be we're the younger ones. And yet they're being the ones that's being more petty and, tacky and rude. So, in other words, this has to be continued. It's unsolved right now. So they don't understand why everybody just can't make amends and move on with their life. So that's pretty much it. This is getting good, you guys. It's a little better this season. Like last season, I felt like it was like a little pettiness. I mean, they had different segments, but a little pettiness. But I feel like this is more raw and uncut. Getting to know these ladies on a different level. So next week we will see how it all goes. I am planning to do a morning talk with Lady Leela in the car. I know I hadn't did one of those, but sometimes I got to build some stuff up because I don't want to come on, camera and just have 1 to 2 topics. So I was just trying to build up some topics to discuss, but that is it. That is all. To my non-subscribers, come on through and subscribe. Join the family. And to my subscribers, hey boos, thanks for stopping by and checking out your girl. Peace. Have a good night.